Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk about what can be a sensitive topic for writers, which is writing and day jobs. And should a writer have a day job? Of course, some writers need to have a day job in order to pay bills and such. And now, because most writers can't make a living uh, writing, even writers who sell quite a few copies of their books, in many cases, can't make a living because if a writer sells 100 copies in a month, but they're getting, let's say, $3 or $4 per copy, then that's still not going to be enough to make a living. A writer has to sell an astronomical amount of books on a regular basis in order to make a living. Like a writer could do really well one month where they sell a lot of books and it seems like they're doing well, but hardly sell any the next month. It's a very unstable profession. And of course, there are reasons for that. Much I'm not going to go into the reasons for it and everything else. That's not the topic purpose of this video. What I'm talking about is how writers go about dealing with that. Well, for me personally, I don't really see or understand how someone could do the same, job that they hate for 20, 30, 40 years, or where they spend most of their waking hours at that profession. I don't get it. I actually think that indentured servitude, which sounds awful, actually isn't as bad as the situation we have now, where people work for pennies with no end in sight. Because very often in the past, indentured servants, now because there were various situations, and not all indentured servitude was the same, but there were some forms of indentured servitude where someone would work, for free, let's say, for a master or a lord or something for let's say 3 to 5 years, and then sometimes they would get their own fortune, their own land, and they would actually be set up where they could prosper independently. But they had to forego freedom, let's say, for a few years. I actually don't think that's a bad deal, but when compared to working for pennies. So to me, I currently do not have a day job of any kind, but if I were to get one, I would not want to stick to that job for 20, 30, 40 years. I'd go insane. Because it's not about the effort. It's kind of like, they got what the guy said in Office Space, if you've seen that film. It's not that I'm lazy, I just don't care. Like, if I care, like, there are some jobs that in terms of the physical, in terms of their physical and mental difficulty are far easier than writing, but I would still have more trouble doing them because I wouldn't care. And so it's not about being lazy. It's if I don't care, then if I don't find meaning in my work, then there's no possible way that I could do it long term. And so what I would like to do maybe someday is get some kind of job that I can do, let's say, for 3 to 5 years, and then quit. And what I and but then I would save up a lot of the money and not spend most of it, because I right now my parents support me and I wouldn't have to spend a lot of it. But then what I would do is that I would it wouldn't be enough money probably for me to build a house. I mean, that seems like just a distant dream, but it would be enough for me to perhaps do some of the traveling that I've always wanted to do, and then perhaps I could build a writing building, shed or hut on my own land, which I am going to be deeded someday. And then perhaps I could build a small bunk in it where I could stay sometimes, but it wouldn't be a big house. But that would require me to get some kind of income for a few years, and but the thing is that it's rather difficult because I'm going to say something that's might be perceived by some to be rather embarrassing, but it's true, is that I do not have the ability at this point to drive a car. I can't drive a car. There are many reasons for it. I won't go into all of them, but it's not because I'm intellectually deficient. One is just anxiety. I don't trust myself. And on top of that is that I have this, you wouldn't know it by watching most of my videos, but I have this condition where sometimes I can have involuntary, would call nerve twitches or spasms, where sometimes I might shake, or sometimes make certain expressions with my face. And I've always worried. I'm worried about what would happen if I were behind the wheel and something like that happened. I worry about that, and also I have trouble judging spatial distances between people and cars, which is something else. Like for example, like sometimes people have told me in the past that I'm sitting too close to them, like that I'm in their space, even though it doesn't seem like it from where I am. But because I've always had trouble judging spatial distances. Like when I was in the driver ed course, for example, I didn't do too badly in the driver ed course, but I did. The teacher did have to press the brakes sometimes because I got too close to the back of vehicles, and so that's something that I worry about. And it's not that I don't drive at all. Like sometimes I'll drive a vehicle around this Jeep around my family's property at times, but that's different because that's I'm not. My fear is not so much driving; it's having to interact and watch out for all these other cars. I mean, that's what makes me the most nervous. And so I've renewed my learner's permit several times. I think one, not including the time I. One, two, three. I've renewed my learner's permit about 4 times, not including the first time that I got it, because it expires every 3 years. And so because of that, I would like to have some kind of work that I can do from home, even though I don't really know what that would be. And I don't want to go back to school because to get any kind of certificate, because school was hell for me. And if reincarnation exists, if that is a situation, I don't think it is. I don't think it's reasonable to believe that. But I'm just saying I hope reincarnation doesn't exist, because I would, no, or if it does exist, I hope I'm not I better be reborn into a family that homeschools, because I would not want to be reborn into a family that sends their children to school, because school was absolute hell for me. And yes, I know I wouldn't remember it, but the fact that my senses would have to be put through that again, that would be terrifying. So I don't want to go back to school. I don't take bullshit like I once did. So I would probably be thrown out of class during the first week. And so no, because I don't follow rules that don't make sense to me, which is also another reason why I might not be able to get a job. And also, it's just that, because, again, I'm limited though by the fact that I can't drive places. It's not that live out in the boonies really. I live about 10-15 minutes from civilization, but that's still I can't walk. And but now it's possible that I could get some kind of job at Walmart, and my sister could drive me to there possibly in the morning, even though I'm not a morning person. But that would be a last resort ditch effort, only if I had to. And I probably wouldn't even get the job because I have no work experience in that regard, so it probably wouldn't even pay off anyway. And so so no, is that I don't have a day job for the reasons that I listed. And again, I've been trying to figure out some way I could make money online, even if it's not other than writing. But I just haven't figured out a way to do that. At the very least, not a way without going back to school, which I've already know I don't want to do. So those are the reasons why I don't have a day job at this point. Combined with the fact that I just would find, it's not that I'm lazy, but I would just find doing repetitive menial work that I'm not interested in for a long period of time. I would just find that so intolerable, which is another reason why I don't have a day job at this point.